Ladies and gents, we have got a big transfer update from Ben Jacobs speaking on Rodrygo, his transfer request, his future at Real Madrid, and the clubs that are in for him. Football London have come out and said that Arsenal are looking at Ademola Lookman from Atalanta, who is destined to leave. He's put out big reports about his future, speaking about Inter Milan. He's requested he wants to leave Atalanta. They are holding on to a 50 million euro evaluation. If they get that, it's who knows. David Ornstein has come out with regards to Fabio Vieira. Romano has spoken about Kivior. We have got a lot to get into. The road to 100,000 subscribers is well and truly on, guys. If you haven't already and you enjoyed the content, please make sure to go down, hit that subscribe button, and let me know your thoughts. We are about 650 away or so from 71,000. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't already, please leave a like. Let me know your thoughts. It's been relatively quiet in the Arsenal world at the moment. There isn't a huge amount of clear-cut information that's going around. And Arsenal are very good at this. The whole Victor Gyökeres saga, towards the end of the negotiations, there was radio silence. And maybe that's because Arsenal are, telling the press, telling the reporters, telling the local news outlets that nothing's happening. And then out of nowhere, Romano drops a bombshell, Ornstein drops a bomber, and then we know what the latest news is. But they're very good at keeping their cards close to their chest. Now, one of the long-term targets, Rodrygo, has been heavily linked to a number of clubs. Spurs were the latest club to put their name in the hat. And this is what Ben Jacobs has had to say. Suggestions: Spurs have placed a formal bid for Rodrygo, are wide off the mark. As of Tuesday morning, Real Madrid have received no bids from any club. Real Madrid are still prepared to sell Rodrygo and informs them he wishes to leave. So that's if he wishes to leave. Player has now met with Xabi Alonso and did not hand in a transfer request. It's an open situation, with Rodrygo being offered to several clubs in case he decides to exit. Now, apparently, this is all reports, who knows? Ben Jacobs, in the information he has said, very credible. Now, apparently, the clubs that he has been offered to are Liverpool, Arsenal, and PSG. Now, I'll be brutally honest, the team that needs a left winger the most out of all of those teams, without a shadow of a doubt, is Arsenal. PSG have got Bradley Barcola, Kvaratskhelia. They've got Ousmane Dembele, who's probably going to win the Ballon d'Or. And they've also got a generational talent in Desiree Doué. Then you look at Liverpool. They just bought in Ekitike. Their main transfer target is Alexander Isak. David Ornstein has said that they may be forced into selling him, which leaves Arsenal. They want to bring in Eberechi Eze. That's what the reports suggest. That's what the reports say. But they also have come out and said, a lot of these journalists, that they need an attacking midfielder and a left winger. This guy fits the left wing spot to a T. Now, we saw in their game against Tottenham that Gabriel Martinelli and Leandro Trossard could not beat their man. Martinelli kept running down a dead end, and Trossard ended up getting injured. For me personally, when I look at the left wing targets, if I was an Arsenal fan, the two players that I would want to bring in would either be Rafa Leao or Rodrygo. In terms of another player that has got quite a lot of traction is Lookman. Now, Lookman, for me, according to myself, I really like Lookman. I think he's a good player. But Football London have come out and said Arsenal have considered to enter the race for Ademola Lookman as a cheaper alternative to Eberechi Eze. Now, Football London get some things right, they get some things wrong. I think if Lookman is coming into Arsenal, hypothetically, he would be coming in as a left winger. Eberechi Eze would be coming in as a number 10 to rotate with Odegaard and to add real competition. They are crying out for creativity. I'll be honest with you guys. They're crying out for creativity. They play tomorrow night against Villarreal. You would imagine that Victor Gyökeres will start this game, and then they've got one more game. And then, look, it's the start of the Premier League season in 10 days' time. No, sorry. It's the start of the Premier League season in, I think, is it the 15th, the opening game of the season? I think it's the 15th. Yeah. 10 days' time, Liverpool will be playing against Bournemouth. Arsenal need to have their starting left winger and creative number 10 in the door. Otherwise, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know if Arsenal are going to be as strong as Liverpool, especially with Liverpool trying to sign Alexander Isak. Now, David Ornstein has come out with regards to some departures. Excuse me, Kivior has got a lot of interest. Fabrizio Romano has come out regarding him. Another one is Fabio Vieira. Now, the news that was coming out yesterday is that Stuttgart are pursuing a deal to sign the 25-year-old Portuguese midfielder. And this is what David Ornstein had to say. Attacking midfielder spent last season on loan at Porto. FVB approach relates to a permanent move. No agreement yet, but talks with AFC continue for the Portuguese playmaker. In terms of Fabio Vieira, I just don't think he's one of these players that will ever really achieve much in the Premier League. In terms of his numbers last year in the Liga Portugal, he got 4 goals and 4 assists. So we got 8 GA in 26 games. In an Arsenal shirt, he's only really had a handful of goal contributions. I think he's got 6 in 34 games. The season they signed him off of when he had a really good breakout year at Porto, he got 6 goals and 14 assists. He's never really been able to translate that form into a Premier League campaign. In today's market, you could probably quite easily generate 25 to 30 million pounds for Fabio Vieira. Kivior, apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano, is wanted by a number of clubs. I think Arsenal would be absolutely mad to sell this guy. Don't get me wrong, they're just wanting Mosquera. They're looking at another young centre-back. When you look at Fabrizio Romano's tweet coming out yesterday, or a couple of days ago, understand Jakub Kivior's remains open with several clubs keen on signing the centre-back. So if you look at the list of potential departures, you've got Leandro Trossard, right? You've got Kivior, you've got Fabio Vieira, you've got Zinchenko, that you should quite easily, significantly be able to demand close to 100 million for those 4 players. Kivior in today's market is probably a 40 million pound centre-back, maybe a 35 million pound centre-back. But Arsenal need to focus all their energy and all their priority right now in getting rid of players. And then you would imagine that they will go in for an Eberechi Eze, a Lukman, a Rodrygo, whoever that may be. But time is ticking, and it's only a week or so away from the start of the Premier League season. These 2 names here, I think would both be really, really good options. If they could sign both, that would probably be the best scenario. But there will be a lot of Arsenal fans out there that will feel, hang on, if we can spend 50 on Lookman and say 60 on Eze, why can't we go and sign Rodrygo? And listen, I understand that completely. I think when you look at the situation with Rodrygo, because he hasn't actually handed in a transfer request right now, it makes it very difficult for clubs. But at the same time, clubs should go out there and show the ambition. Ademola Lookman did not show up for training yesterday. Insist on it, planning on leaving Atalanta. Atalanta maintain their position. No way they let him go for 42 million euros plus 3 million. Mate, that is so cheap for a guy that scored a hat-trick and won Atalanta their first trophy in decades and decades and decades. Even at 50 million euros, he's a very, very, very good signing. His record in an Atalanta shirt is actually very, very good. He's a player that's played in the Premier League before at Fulham, at Leicester, can play on the right, can play on the left, can play as a second striker. In Serie A, he's got 39 goals and 21 assists. So he's got 60 GA in 93 games, which is absolutely obscene record for a guy that isn't I would say the best player in the league. But his record is very good. When you look at his record in Serie A as well, 52 goals and 25 assists. I still do think though Rodrygo should be the guy. He's played at Charlton, he's played at Everton, he's played at Leicester, he's played at Fulham. He's very, very familiar with the Premier League. He's played in the Bundesliga as well. His record, I think he's played in the Champions League. He's played there. There you go. 7 GA and 8 in the Champions League. In the Europa League, he's got 9 in 18. Look at his record for Atalanta. 3 of those goals, of course, were in the Europa League final. But look, time is ticking. Arsenal do play tomorrow as well against Villarreal. Big game that for Arsenal because they need to get back onto winning ways. They were very poor against Spurs. I'm not going to lie, in the final third. They were lacking creativity. They were lacking wide players to go and beat their man. But with the Rodrygo saga is completely open. Will he be an Arsenal player? Will he not? You'd have to let me know your thoughts down below. When I look at the situation with regards to Lookman, I think Inter Milan is probably a more reliable, credible source that's linking him to Inter Milan. But I do feel, however, Eberechi Eze is the guy. I think it's going to be a very interesting couple of days. We'll be covering their game tomorrow. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I am out.